Crash here, crashing down Survivor South Pacific, episode 13. One more into the big finale titled When There Were Five. Five stupid people, I must say. These guys are doing everything they can to let Ozzy win the $1 million prize at the end of the game and probably be the worst winner of Survivor history. But before we get to that, let's go over what happened during the gameplay. Edna voted out in the last tribal council, went down to Redemption Island to face Ozzy. Very close duel once again. She didn't quite get as close as Cochran, but she thought she had the final puzzle correct. It was two puzzles. They were at the final. Ozzy had a huge lead on Edna. Edna came back very quick. It may have been one or two pieces away from winning. She was, Jeff, I haven't finished, yada, yada, yada. Had the puzzle wrong. Ozzy comes in. The dramatic music's kicked up. And he wins redemption. I was about to say immunity. He wins redemption once again. He'll only have to win one more to get back into the game. He gets back into the game. He'll win immunity all the way to the end and win $1 million. So basically, going into the finale next week, I will know who the winner is after the first duel. And it's not good. It's not looking good. I really don't want Ozzy to win this game. I did like him the first time he played it, but in my opinion, you've been voted out 2 times in the same game. I don't think you should win even if you've been voted out once, but much less twice. He hasn't done anything as for a social game besides be good at challenges, and that's what used to be great about Survivor, is that even the most athletic people out there, if they didn't have a good strategical game, they weren't going to win anything. And with this Redemption Island twist, this is the biggest flaw in it. I really, really hope it's done after this season. Moving on to the tribe of Upalu, still hanging around the 5 that said they would be there for day 1. It's good in theory, but it's a reckless gameplay with this Redemption Island twist. They should have prepared for this, knowing Ozzy was going to end up there, knowing that they were going to have to send someone to defeat Ozzy, and they just start thinking about it. Sophie's the only one starting to kind of think about this. It's too late now. They had ample opportunities. When they were able to get Savayu down to about 2 members, they could have sent Brandon. They could have blindsided Albert. Heck, if the other ones wanted to try and win the game, they could have blindsided Coach. He'd have never seen it coming. You flush out an immunity idol. You know, a lot of the moves maybe as a fan, not what I wanted to see. But if you're in there playing a game, you don't play for the fans. You play for yourself. You play to win $1 million, and these people have not played a good game to win $1 million. And it was started off as such a great season, ended up basically being like last season, where they all just bow down to Boston Rob. Anyway, they're debating what they're going to do. They got to vote out their 5. Albert makes a pact with Rick, which is a bunch of BS. Albert seems like he's BSing everyone. Everyone thinks it. If he wanted to play the game so hard, he should have taken out his biggest competition earlier and Coach, and then run the game himself. I understand what he's trying to do. My strategy, I often talk about, you need to have someone above you, someone below you. You're in the middle. It deflects attention. That's all great. He did a good job of using that to get him thus far in the game. But you have to make a big move at the end. You may only get one shot to do it. He never did it, and I really don't see him being able to win this game. Good showing out on Survivor. I'm not going to bash Albert too much, but it's not the way I would have played it. I would have played it a little riskier, not a safe way to play sometimes. It might get you voted out 6th instead of 3rd, but I play to win the game. So we get down to the immunity challenge. Brandon comes away with a pretty decisive victory. Coach a little bit on his heels, but it looked like Brandon was leading this thing all the way through. Takes immunity, goes crazy, praises God, the usual thing out of Brandon Hance, the most bizarre character on this season of Survivor. This guy might even be a little more off the rocker than the CIA agent we had last year. So anyhow, we get back to camp. Everyone's ripping on Albert because of fake promises. Brandon's up in his face. Sophie's up in his face. Actually, Sophie pitted them all against each other, and I think this was a great move on her part. She knew she's on the chopping block. She's a girl that you get her to the final immunity or final tribal council, however, she's going to be a girl that can talk her way into $1 million. You probably don't want to take her into the final 3, but regardless, you have to worry about Ozzy. Ozzy's the #1 culprit, then she's second if you're trying to win this game. So she goes there, They're eating pizza after a reward. Brandon's eating it with Rick. He chose to share a reward with them. She goes and sits there, plants a seed, talking about Albert, some of the maneuvering he's been doing, how he needs to be eliminated from the game. Rick blurts out that they had made a pact already. Then all three of them go out there and they want to throw some daggers at Albert. Great move by Sophie. The objective of Survivor is always going to be to deflect attention from yourself. If you can plant a seed in other people's heads to make them uneasy, then they will go into combat. Sophie knows what she's doing. It's one of the best plays she's made all year, and that's going to win her Player of the Week. So going into it, it's ripping on Albert for everything. Brandon really loses it. What else is new? And him and Albert have a talk, saying, you know, we're still with each other, yada, yada, yada. This is God's way, blah, 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 blah. You know, the usual nonsense they discuss over there. And Brandon says that he would be willing to give his immunity idol up to Albert to show his alliance and integrity towards to the pact, which is absolutely ridiculous. They get to the tribal council, and Brandon wasn't joking. As soon as they walk in, he takes the immunity idol off and hands it to Albert, making him the biggest idiot in Survivor history. Move over James, move over JT, move over Eric, dummies from seasons past. You have a new one. Brandon Hance has finally brought the Hance name from above the camera lens to as low as you can get. Brandon Hance, one of the worst players to ever make it to the Final Five in Survivor history. And what does that do for him? He gets 3 votes against him, is voted out, off to redemption. As stupid as that move was, I still hope he can go there and beat Ozzy. He should have been sent there a long time ago because he's a physical presence, and maybe he could beat Ozzy. You go back a few weeks, you had Cochran, you had Dawn, you had Whitney, you had Edna. Players that probably weren't going to win this game. They're players you could have spared an extra week. You had to get Ozzy out of the game, and they just didn't do it. I think it's too late. I honestly think Ozzy's going to beat Brandon over there. Hope it's different. Hope I'm wrong. Hope someone can stop him. I would much rather see Coach or Sophie win this game because they have made moves that have earned it. Survivor winners should be the ones that make the moves. They made the moves. They deserve the $1 million. So the finale Sunday, there's going to be one more player coming back into the game to make it 5, and then they're going to have a nice little showdown. I still predict Sophie winning this game. As long as Ozzy's out. I guess if I were a betting man, I would put Ozzy in there to win this, but if he's eliminated, I definitely have Sophie out of the Apollo group. I see it being a pretty close vote if it comes down to her and Coach, and let's just hope it plays out correctly. If Coach goes in there, he wants to take his final 3, and assuming Brandon comes back in the game, he needs to take Brandon, he needs to take Rick, and he's won himself $1 million. Same thing for Sophie, if that's the same scenario. Ozzy gets there, it doesn't matter who he takes to the final 3. He's just got to win immunity and play for himself because the $1 million is there waiting for him. He was 1 vote away the first season he played, and heck, he has another chance to win it, even though he has been voted out twice, 3 times total in his history in 3 seasons. But he still has a chance to win $1 million. Don't forget the finale this Sunday, 7 p.m. Central Time. That's going to be 3 hours, of course, 2-hour show, 1-hour reunion. Let's see who comes away with the $1 million, and let's hope the season ends strong because it's been kind of dull the last few episodes. Brandon Hance, congratulations once again for being the dumbest survivor in the history of the game, 23 seasons long. Crash out.